guys, thanks again for the introduction. See a lot of familiar faces and see some familiar names. See a few names I don't recognize. So again, for those of you that have never met me, my name is Roland and I'm one of our engineers here on staff with MLC CAD Systems. I've got the great honor and privilege to show you the first session of the SOLIDWORKS What's New 2021. And to do that, I'll be leveraging a customer of ours that used the suite of tools to accomplish a very complex task. And I'd like to introduce that customer now. The name of them is Square Robot. Take a look at this short video.
Tackling the inspection of dark, harsh, and sensitive environments is the specialty of Square Robot, a startup based out of Boston, Massachusetts. Using advanced submersible robotics lowered into a petroleum storage tank, they autonomously inspect these environments for defects in the storage vessel using state-of-the-art sensing technology. By being able to use robotics for this task, they have reduced costs for their customers while improving accuracy. Their design is focused on safety and reliability for these unique environments, providing maximum uptime and allowing inspections to take place when and where humans would have to otherwise wait for the tanks to be empty. Founded in 2016, Square Robot chose SOLIDWORKS and DelmiaWorks as their go-to design and management solutions. It was critical for them from the start to have the ability to work from anywhere, combined with best-in-class design tools.
Excellent. So Square Robot really focused on 4 key things in this first session that we're going to be looking at. We're going to first start off with what every good SOLIDWORKS user is doing, and that's modeling and detailing drawings and parts. Then we're going to take a look from there of how Square Robot used some of the new functionality in 2021 for their systems engineering department. And like all good design projects, we need to be able to share our technical data with downstream team members. So we'll look at how eDrawings and Composer can help publish and share some of our technical information with those non-technical people. And then last but certainly not least, how can we leverage the SOLIDWORKS suite of tools to help organize our entire team and our entire company to share, control, and be ready for production of our product. So with that said, like most good design projects, let's start off with the basic design and modeling inside SOLIDWORKS. The first thing I want to leverage is I want to show you some of the new enhancements regarding the actual interface. In this case, my task is to finish this part up, do some extrusions, and then do some circular patterns of the extrusion. Sometimes it's pretty hard and difficult to see things when all the colors are similar hues. So new for SOLIDWORKS 2021 is the ability to come in here and see colors. But on top of that, you can now see the color palette directly on the color scheme settings window, which makes it a lot easier to find what you're looking for, in this case my inactive sketches, and change it to a color that's maybe a little bit more appropriate or a little bit easier to see. Now, some of my users always ask me, hey Roland, how do I get more screen space? New for 2021 is the ability to collapse the command manager by coming up here to the top right and simply clicking on the collapse window. On top of that, we can clean up the interface a little bit more by moving the quick access tools, which is this set of tools right here, from the menu bar over to the command manager. Now, while we're here, I want to make it a little bit easier to navigate through my interface without constantly moving my cursor. One of my favorite new search functionalities is actually this functionality in the shortcut bars. You can now come in here and search directly for any tool that you're looking for by simply typing in that search for in the actual menu. In this case, I want to add a few shortcuts into my shortcut bar by simply dragging and dropping. You can use this search menu and add functions and features to anywhere in the interface. So I'll go ahead and add the undo and redo commands up here to my quick access toolbar. Now that we've done some of the customizations to our interface, let's go ahead and finish this design out. I'll go ahead and select my sketch. I'll use my shortcut bar and create this extrude cut to extrude the entire part. Now what's nice is by customizing your shortcut bar, you can limit the amount of traveling directly on your interface by putting your most common features into your shortcuts. In this case, we'll go ahead and finish this design out by doing this circular pattern. Now sometimes I do something that I'm not really fond of, and a lot of people, just like myself included, will use this undo command. Now, if you've been using SOLIDWORKS for some time, you know that undo has always been a little bit of a challenge, because if you went a little back, if you went too far back, you didn't have the ability to do a redo all the way through the feature tree. Now in 2021, the redo and undo is a more complete functionality. By simply clicking on this redo, I can go back and forth inside my feature tree, undoing and bringing back work that I've already created. Let's keep on moving through this design, and let's finish up this sheet metal part. Now, one of the design criteria for this part is to have a stiffening feature that goes the entire length of perimeter all the way around this part. So to do that, I generally use an edge flange. Now, what is new for 2021 is if you right click on any one of these edges, you're going to see an option called Select Tangency, which has been around for quite some years. But what is different is the fact that now we can extend an edge flange across non-linear edges that are connected to a linear edge. In this example, you can see that my flange of a 1/2 inch is now being propagated across the bend region, giving me a more stiff component. What's really neat about this is, like any other sheet metal part, I can go ahead and flatten this out and prepare this for a DXF for my manufacturing environment. So we're giving you a lot more functionality inside that edge tool to create more complex geometry. Let's look at another way that we can leverage that edge flange inside SOLIDWORKS. In this case, I have this feature right here, this edge flange, but I really need to protect these components of the inside of this roving vehicle. So let's do a quick design change. I'm going to edit my part, go ahead and edit this feature. And you'll notice that even when I'm bending an edge flange that is inside a bend region, I can go in either direction, and you can use all of the common tools that you're used to using. In this example, I'm going to flip the rotation, and I'm going to go ahead and modify the angle of this edge flange, producing me a more complex piece of geometry, protecting my internal components. Just like before, if I wanted to go ahead and flatten this out and create a sheet metal flat pattern for my manufacturing environment, this edge flange is able to be flattened and create a DXF just like any other traditional edge flange that we're used to creating. Now, with the advancements of technology, it's very commonplace these days for customers to be using 3D printing. New for 2021 is better support for the new 3MF file type. In this case, I can save out by doing a simple save as and change my file type to 3MF. What you're going to see new is underneath your export options, we now have better support for colors, textures, transparency, and many more features on that 3MF export, which is going to help you prepare for 3D printing files. Sometimes we get a 3MF from a customer. So how can we leverage that in SOLIDWORKS? By simply going to File Open, you can change your file type out by a 3MF, choose the 3MF file, and we now support per facet and per vertex coloring, as well as textures and transparency, which provides a better visual on that 3MF import of the graphic body. Additive manufacturing continues to rise in capability and popularity, and we're trying to leverage and embrace these technologies by giving you better support for the common file types when doing 3D printing. Now, by far, some of my favorite enhancements that I've been using so far this year in 2021 come inside the Weldment environment. In this example, I need to go ahead and make a modification to these structure components. And the modification that we're after is that there's a liquid that's getting trapped inside here when we put this down inside the vessel. So we want to actually create a mitered flange here as opposed to an end butt. Let's go ahead and open this part up and let's start making our design changes. So we can see this a little bit better. I'm going to roll my rollback bar up to this trim, and let's edit this trim. Now the challenge with this is if I simply move this to a miter flange, these two components are not the same shape and not the same size structure members. So I end up with the miter that doesn't accomplish quite what I need. New for 2021 is a brand new option called Full Flush Miter. What this now does is when I miter two components that are not the same size and not the same shape, it creates a flush miter as opposed to an angular miter. The benefit of this is now I don't have to come in here and calculate what that angle is going to be. SOLIDWORKS will do that automatically for me. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to prepare this for our powder coating, and we want to give an accurate representation of what this is going to look like. Let's go ahead and apply an appearance. Now in this example, obviously I can use my standard color wheel or even create a custom color. But what I'm really after is I'm really after the actual colors directly off Square Robot's webpage. So right here I have Square Robot's webpage, and what we want to do is we want to take this blue color and apply it to this member. New for 2021, I can simply drag this eyedropper anywhere on my workstation. It'll grab that color and apply it directly to the members inside SOLIDWORKS. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and confirm that, and we're going to apply a new color to these vertical members of the weldment. Let's do a quick body select. We've got all our members selected. We'll grab our eyedropper, we'll drag it to a new color, and we'll go ahead and drop that. We've made it much easier to create custom colors without having to know the exact RGB values of those colors by leveraging the brand new eyedropper inside 2021. Now, by far, my favorite enhancement is the ability to now leverage equations in custom properties. In this example, we want to come in here and we want to calculate the cost of this, cost per file. The new type that you're going to see is a type called equation. I can now simply hit equation, and I have access to all my global variables, common functions, and properties of the file. In this case, we're going to grab this global variable called estimated finished cost, and we're going to multiply this by the total mass to get cost per file. In this case, we can see that it's approximately $428.60. Now we can leverage that same piece of functionality inside a cut list. In this example, I want to know what the total length of these little plates are. By right-clicking on that properties, I can create a new cut list property called total length. Again, the new type that you're going to see for the property is going to be called equation. Once I choose equation, I have access to variables, functions, properties. In this example, we're going to take the quantity of components and we are going to multiply that by the total length. So now I can see that on my cut list, I need exactly 7.24 inches of material for this cut list member. 2021 is providing a lot of good functionality to help you get your design tasks done even faster. Now to finish this project out, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and finish detailing a drawing. If you're not familiar with this tool, there's a new tool that we introduced last year in 2020 called detailing mode. When I go and open up a drawing, instead of opening it fully resolved, I can open up this drawing in a mode called detailing. What this does is when you open up this drawing in RAM, it prevents SOLIDWORKS from having and needing to load all of the child components, sub-assemblies, and top-level assemblies into the RAM of your hardware. You can see this by coming over here to the right-hand side of your screen and looking in the Open in SOLIDWORKS. You'll notice that I'm not loading all of the child components into my RAM. What's the byproduct of this? The byproduct of this is the fact that you can work and detail drawings much faster. So my general workflow is I get all my views created, especially when working with large assemblies. I save my drawing, and then I open it up in the detailing mode. The benefit is in 2021, we've expanded the functionality and all the tasks that you can do in detailing mode. Now in detailing mode, you can add any kind of balloons, whether with the view out without needing the view to be loaded. I can modify any annotations. So in this case, we don't need to know not to stand on this unit. We already know that. I can get rid of that. Maybe I want to come over here and finish detailing out this last page in my drawing. Well, I noticed that my dimensions are going off the screen. So let's go ahead and fix that. Leveraging detail mode, we can come in here and use any of the view creation tools that we're used to using. In this example, let's go ahead and do a break view on this top view of our unit. To do that, I would use the exact same steps that I'm used to using by simply left-clicking and placing my break view signifiers directly on top of this top view. Along with that, Once I'm done creating all my break views, I can leverage all of my dimensioning tools that I'm used to using inside this detail mode. In this case, we'll go ahead and confirm this. We'll right click up here at the top and we'll go ahead and add the rest of the dimensions to this ordinate dimension. I now have access to all the dimensioning tools in this detail mode without resolving that actual file. Now, the last thing I need to do as far as this top view is I need to create a detail view. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go ahead and create one more view. Now, the really neat thing about this is that, again, I'm not having to load all of the components into RAM to actually generate this geometry. I can leverage all the things that I'm used to using. For example, I can now see the whole callout command and my normal smart dimension. Now, what you're going to notice is with smart dimension, whether you're in the detail mode or you're not in the detail mode, you're going to see that creating dimensions is much easier because the dimension is now transparent, where you can now select through the dimension without having to hide it or do all sorts of funky things with your cursor. Now, in some instances, I create sketch blocks or sketch geometry inside my drawing environment. We've made it much easier to add relations using the same familiar buttons and clicks that you use in the part environment. You can now add relations by simply doing a control select and creating your relationships using our standard relationship menu. Along with that, while we're in the detail mode, we can modify any existing dimensions. In this case, I noticed that I only have 2 decimal places on this bottom dimension. I need to go ahead and add a 3rd decimal place, and let's add a tolerance directly into this interface. We'll give this a tolerance of plus or minus 5 thousandths. While I'm down here, again, still in that detail mode, I notice that this dimension is not going to the correct location. I get access to all of the options and all of the properties in any of my dimension windows. Simply clicking on that dimension, I can now change this from the minimum arc length to the center arc length to get the dimension that I'm truly after. We've added a lot of functionality, and these are usually some of the favorites amongst both new and old SOLIDWORKS users alike. Now, the last thing I want to show you is really a performance enhancement, and the best way to show you that is to do a little compare and contrast between previous versions of SOLIDWORKS and the new version of SOLIDWORKS in 2021. In this case, this is going to be our drawing performance enhancement. When working with large drawings, view manipulation is vital to having a good user experience. And over the years, we've tried to optimize this so that way your on-screen manipulations go fast and smooth and easy. For SOLIDWORKS 2020, we added a new option called Enhanced Graphics Performance inside the assembly commands. We've added that into the drawing commands for 2021. On the left, you're going to see SOLIDWORKS 2020, and on the right, you'll see 2021. In a side-by-side comparison on the same set of hardware, on the same 5-sheet drawing open, let's start with just panning the drawing in the document window. Notice that in 2021 does a pretty decent job, but you can see there is some latency as we pan the drawing. The same panning action in 2021 on the right-hand side is dramatically faster and keeps up with your mouse movement, just providing with a better experience. Zooming in and out can be just as dramatic, and panning while zoomed is lightning fast. For comparison, we'll repeat the same steps from 2021 on the left-hand side in 2020. Again, notice that there's a little bit of latency, which can sometimes be confusing if you overshoot your zoom magnification due to that delay. Panning is better while zooming. It's much faster and precise in the new 2021 software, which is taking advantage of a lot of the new enhanced graphics performance in the hardware that's being developed. The second sheet of this drawing contains even more views of this 2400 part assembly, and the performance is even more pronounced as we pan around. Now that we've finished detailing this drawing out, and we finished all of our 3D modeling, let's look at how we can leverage some of the new tools for our systems engineering department, so that way they can produce the wire harness for this robot. The tools in 2021 for the system engineering, specifically the routing and electrical schematic tool, are some of my favorite enhancements that we've enhanced for system engineering. If everything that we designed was just a square shape or a rectangle, wire harnessing wouldn't be a big deal. But in the electrical world, the path of electrical wiring and harnessing can take many forms, including lines and splines. New for Electrical 2021, we support the use of both splines and lines to create route paths. We created routing path using both splines and lines for this harness that connects the transducer underneath the cables and following along the wall. Let's adjust several of these arcs and curves and let's get a smoother path. In the 3D electrical tab of the command manager, choosing routing harness options, you're going to see many new options for the routing of splines. After the routing is finished, now the harness is going to follow the predefined path that we created with both splines, lines, and arcs. Supporting splines along with lines and arcs in creating the route class for electrical harness greatly improves the versatility of creating complex routing harnesses and complex products. In this case, it's common to have multiple cables starting from a single connector. So what we can now do is splice these, making sure that all of our connectors have the same paths in our electrical system. In SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic 2021, we've improved the cable properties, including a new field called Separate 3D Route Assembly. The same parameter can be used in the routing cable command to provide maximum flexibility to users on how and where they want to initiate this new parameter. In this case, we've already created two separate routing paths, one for each cable, starting from the round 10 connector that brings the signals from the outside world and connects to the PC board. What we were going to do is we're going to choose to route these two cables at once, but maintaining them as separate assemblies. So it's the same route, but the byproduct is to have two discrete separate assemblies in the routing harness. This allows us to create more complex and rich functionality by bridging the needs of the electrical team and the mechanical team to create one route that's leveraging two harnesses. Now that we've finished up our routing and our electrical diagram, let's look at some of the new functions that will help us share our technical data with our downstream team members. In this case, we're going to look at how we can share some of this technical documentation. Now, one of the most common questions I get is people say, Roland, how can I send somebody this model and what can they do with it? I need them to view it and do measurements and look at custom properties. Let's look at probably my favorite set of enhancements for eDrawings that I've seen in a long, long time. The first thing that we're going to see is new for eDrawings 2021 is the fact that you can now see all the custom and configuration properties directly from the eDrawings viewer. This gives those non-technical people access to some of the technical data like revision, who the manufacturer is, maybe the mass. If you're using design tables, we can now see the configuration specific properties such as description, drawing number, vendor part number, title of the model or assembly. Along with that, we have a much more robust measuring capability inside eDrawings. In this case, if I rotate this around, I want to see what the center to center measurement is of these two bolts. In some cases, we need to see the maximum or minimum distance. So you're going to see a more complete measuring functionality inside eDrawings. In this case, I can toggle between minimum, maximum, or center to center distance. Along with that, I can pull more measurements from non-planar and cylindrical edges. In this case, I wanted to see what the normal distance is from the top face of the part to the center of this shaft, which is a normal distance of 1.807 inches. Now, one of the most common questions that people get is they say, Roland, do I absolutely have to install eDrawings to view a file? Well, I'm glad to introduce this brand new function within eDrawings Professional called Web HTML. From eDrawings, you can come in here and do a file save as, and you can save this eDrawing file as a Web HTML document. What this does is you no longer need eDrawings to view that. You can now take that HTML web file and open it up with any common web browser. In my example, I'm using Google Chrome to look at that same file, but instead of having to actually install eDrawings, I'm now viewing it directly from a web browser. The great thing about this is we get all the same information that we see inside SOLIDWORKS or inside our eDrawings interface. For example, we can see the bill of material and the component tree. In some cases, maybe like the sales team wants to explode this out. So I can come in here and do a quick explode without actually having to have SolidWorks or eDrawings installed. If you wanted to dig down into this assembly, we can create a section view. Probably the most common thing to do is to pull a measurement. But by far, one of the things that I'm using the most is using just the simple move component command. What this gives users the ability to do is just simply grab a file or grab a part from the screen and start decomposing this, taking a deeper dive look at how this thing is actually put together. Where I'm seeing a huge benefit is for those non-technical people that want to look and maybe find a specific part number inside the interface. I can now move things around, simply select from a web browser on the component that I'm after, and now I can see the actual part number of that component. So eDrawings is providing even more functionality to share this technical content with some of those people downstream who may or may not be SOLIDWORKS users or maybe not technical enough to use the SOLIDWORKS environment. The next thing that we're going to look at is how we can organize our entire company using the suite of tools to help our organization and management of files, projects, and even things like inventory and production control. Let's start off with leveraging probably one of my favorite tools that I use most often, and that is PDM. One of the best features of PDM has long been the integration with Windows Explorer. In 2021, we support the latest Windows 10 elements like the ribbon interface that's even better than before. While icons are visually appealing, the details mode of Windows Explorer is really where the power of PDM starts to reveal itself. Columns can define specific sets of visible properties that users can work with in this detail view. In PDM 2021, you can now customize these columns even further in more places and provide choices with multiple column sets. In this example, we're giving our user one of 3 column sets to navigate with, either this beginner, intermediate, or advanced. You can define these columns in more places, such as the quick search results. You can add, move, remove, or even rename, and you can define the permission of the view and the default preference per user or group. You can provide meaningful access to data for everyone. In 2021, you're going to see this new administrative permission that gives you more granular control over user ability to customize their columns. In this case, we might want to limit or force a specific column view on a specific set of users or specific set of groups. Like everything in PDM, this is completely configurable, so you can create your column sets exactly how you need and giving the people who need access to them the way that you want. I've been building workflows for many, many years, and as you build workflows, I think you're going to enjoy the new and updated icons for states and transitions in 2021. These help give you a better illustration of where you're at in the process and help you define your process flow with a better visual, so that way the contributors can recognize where they are at directly from the Windows Explorer interface. So gone are the days of choosing the 7 basic icons that you're used to seeing. Now let's do some design change inside this assembly, and let's see how PDM can help us understand our references as we manipulate both child and parent components of our assembly. In this case, I have the mount for the sensors and it's in the cost engineering state. I'm going to go ahead and help with redesign about this, but I want to see what's impacted references I should be aware of before I start actually changing this part. New in PDM Professional, the Treehouse view is now available in both the Where Used and the Contains tab. This visual reference can be printed, it can be exported to an Excel file with thumbnails, which also could become part of your change order documentation. A quick multi-select, and I can check out all the right parts and the assemblies and the drawings that I need to make the change. Now, fast forwarding, I've redesigned this bracket to use aluminum plates. I've converted this into a weldment and I've created a cut list. New in 2021, cut lists are fully supported in a PDM calculated bill of materials. Even the option called excluding from cut list is now taken into account. It's not just weldments that are better supported in 2021. Derived part references, like those created from things like insert parts or mirrors or 3D interconnected imported parts, are included as well. So you're getting a lot better support in the multi-body environment for calculated BOMs. Now, let's go take a look at the bill of material and let's compare the bill of material from before I converted this to after the conversion. In this case, I've promoted the child components to the top level. And now when I look at the version history inside PDM, I can see that PDM is taking into account my modifications in the version history of this weldment. So I'm getting the true cut list at the top level bill of material. With the expanded configurability and increased performance in PDM 2021, I really think that your engineering teams and your production teams and your manufacturing teams are going to be able to go to that next level of design and organization management. Now that we've looked at our file management inside 2021 using PDM, the last thing I want to show you is a tool that you might not be as familiar with. It's called SOLIDWORKS Manage. Manage is a tool that can help us manage bills of materials, advanced processes, and most importantly for me is I'm using it to manage my project status. Managing multiple projects is common for most project managers. New for Manage 2021 is the ability to create project lists. Lists can be created to meet individual needs or defined by an admin and shared globally. Project lists provide easy visibility to powerful resource management tools like scheduling, capacity planning, and load charts. These tools help you make more informed decisions about project start dates and deliverables for your project status. Assigning tasks to users and allowing them to update their completion status and deliverables is a powerful way to keep up to date on the progression of a project. New for Manage 2021 is a new service called Auto Update Project Service. This background service can be configured to check for task updates and automatically update the completion progress of project stages. Additionally, any attachments that have been added to the task can be automatically transferred to the deliverable section of the project. This is really good for things like assigning tasks to create simulations or an EC process that's going to deliver a report like a simulation result PDF report or maybe an ECO document. Manage 2021 also provides new ways to visualize project tasks. Out-of-the-box dashboards are accessible directly from the project and provide clear visibility to the project managers. These task dashboards can now be grouped by priority as well as status. This allows you to quickly visualize the assignment of tasks, and with the simple drag and drop, tasks can be moved to in progress or working on or completed. And with a double click, the task information can be accessed directly from the task dashboard. All these tools help you guys organize not just your files in PDM, but also your overall project status, and it helps tie together the loose ends from file creation to production to ECO process and everything from start to finish of the design process. I really want to thank you guys for your time. I appreciate you joining us and looking at all the new tools inside SOLIDWORKS and the suite of tools for SOLIDWORKS in 2021. And the last thing I want to do is I actually want to toss it over to my coworker, Josh, who's going to introduce a brand new tool for you that's new for MLC and new for SOLIDWORKS. So Josh, take it away.
For years, MLC CAD Systems has been the go-to resource for your engineering, development, and documentation needs. But we understand engineering is only a part of what you do as a business. How can your manufacturing, procurement, planning, and warehouse teams utilize this information to deliver quality products as quickly and efficiently as possible? This year, we're excited to introduce a new solution to the MLC CAD Systems family, Delmio Works. Formerly IQMS, Delmio Works is a manufacturing enterprise resource planning solution focused on leveraging your data to streamline production, improve overall equipment effectiveness, and ultimately win you more business. Let's take a look at how SMC Metals used Delmio Works to shorten lead times and cut costs across the value stream.
My name's Dan Riedinger. This is SMC Metal. SMC is a custom metal fabricator, been in business for over 70 years. We currently employ about 120 people doing business with a number of large original equipment manufacturers. Heavy equipment predominantly in the construction and other industries. We've been using SOLIDWORKS for many years. The speed with which it allows us to integrate with our customers' drawings to make prototypes and production parts is a differentiator for us in the marketplace. Recently, we did an upgrade to our ERP system and moved to IQMS. And one of the goals of the project was to integrate our ERP system with our engineering system, which would allow us to move to a paperless environment in the shop, which was one of our #1 priorities in the project. Those changes and that integration has allowed us to significantly increase our speed of manufacturing and reduce costs across the company. IQMS was a major turning point for the company. Prior to our IQMS implementation, we were several years behind where we needed to be from a technology standpoint. We felt it was critical to be able to integrate our software with our engineering packages. We needed to move towards paperless for a number of reasons, both internal and external, and IQMS provided a great vehicle to do that. And the recent acquisition of IQMS by SOLIDWORKS parent company only will advance their product in the future of the industry.